Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jackie at Jack Live. Today, we have some dynamic women. The topic of discussion is going to be college, education from all different phases. The first person as my guest is Dr. Sherry Smith. She has multiple degrees. Her fifth degree, she obtained it 3 years ago, and it was her doctorate. So I'm going to bring on Dr. Sherry.
Hello, Miss Jackie. I feel so honored to be here today.
Thank you. Likewise, you're on vacation and you've taken time out to find a quiet room. So thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it so much.
Yes.
So, like I mentioned, Dr. Sherry Smith, 5 degrees.
Oh, yes. My mother was an educator. Education was instilled in me. And Once I started, I just wanted more.
What phase of life did Dr. Smith start college?
I started straight from high school. And I was a single parent. I was a teenage parent. So that was another, at the time, what seemed like an obstacle. But for me, my daughter ended up being one of my greatest blessings.
Tell us a little bit about where these degrees are held.
I have 2 associate degrees. One is in business, one is in computer science. Then I have a bachelor's in applied behavioral science, a master's in executive business, and then my final degree is in education with a specialty in curriculum and design.
Name some of the challenges that you came across up at night crying.
Some of the challenges for me ended up being a double-edged sword, because I have great friends and I live in Los Angeles. I have amazing friends in Los Angeles. And you know, they're, Sherry, we're throwing a house party tonight. Are you coming? I'm thinking, man, I need to work on this dissertation. And I would end up at the house party, and when I really should have been home. So there were plenty of times like that. I'm in LA. The beach is right around the corner from my house. I go out to the beach, take my work with me. How conducive can you be in doing some homework on the beach?
Wow.
When it's 85 degrees outside. So again, for me, I made things, and I'm a world traveler. I love traveling. And I would pack my books up to go to Paris with me. But how conducive is that? So I really did myself a disservice in so many ways by still continuing to live the non-academic life while pursuing my final degree. And I remember every one of our instructors discouraged us because they were saying how hard the road and the journey could be.
Wow.
But once I got into the program, and it took me years to finish, I can relate to what they were saying. It's
really
not a minor undertaking.
Wow.
It took years to get that doctorate. I was like, I don't really want to finish this degree. Why did I even start it? But I felt compelled, because at this point, it's like all my friends, when are you going to finish, Dr. Sherry? So I heard Dr. Sherry before I was anywhere near it, and pressure from thinking, okay, you have your younger generation of relatives looking at you. Well, Sherry started on her doctorate. She never even finished it. Sherry, you're so close. You paid all this money. You got to do this. So here I am, Dr. Sherry, finally.
Now, I wanted to ask you if there's something you might want to share.
Well, I love riding my Harley motorcycle. So many people.
Really? So you're a Harley rider?
I am a Harley babe. I've been riding for probably about 10 years. I'm also a published article, and I wrote a children's book that hit almost #1 on Amazon. It's called My Mystical Magical Shrinking Hair, because my niece, one of my god nieces, when she was almost 10, she said, Aunt Sherry, I hate my natural hair. It's horrible. I was like, oh my God, are you serious? So I flipped the story and like, hey, how many people, when you wash your hair, she talks about how, I look like a lion when it's all out.
Right.
But my very first book, and it's still available on Amazon, is called Bedroom Pleasures, 40 ways men succeed in bed. So I always get looks and stares from that. And
I think I know the subject of my next webcast. I think I know this. I think I know what that topic is going to be. So, everyone, viewers, we will have Dr. Sherry Smith back on with a different topic. What else has Dr. Smith accomplished?
And I've done a few commercials on TV. I was just in a commercial for the Jennifer Hudson played Aretha Franklin. So yeah, just love living life.
Yes, I love it. Now, as if the doctor wasn't enough, it's amazing all that you're doing. You are a true example of a person who lives life to the fullest. What else do you have up and coming? What are you seeing in the near future?
Well, a few years ago, I wrote and performed a one-woman show called The Calypso Girl. It's stories from Calypso, North Carolina, where I was born and raised, to California. And so I performed that in Spain, Atlanta, North Carolina, Hollywood, of course. And my goal right now, I'm working on getting that on Netflix or as a movie. So that's nice. I see that in my future, in my little crystal.
I see it too. Well, please, I would love for you to keep me abreast that you have going on, whatever you're doing, because I would love to have you back on to discuss things that you have going on in your life. Dr. Sherry William, thank you so much for sharing your story, who you are, and a little about what you do. My next guest, her name is Amaya. Amaya is currently a 20-year-old college student. She attends Kennesaw State University. She is there with a full academic scholarship. And she is a native of New York. She came to Georgia some years ago. She told her mom that she felt that she wasn't getting the education that she truly could be getting. She asked, can I go to Georgia and live with my dad? She's so humble. You would never know that she is such an intelligent young lady. I had her fill out some information about who she was, and I tell everyone, brag on yourself, because I want everyone to know some good things about you. Do you know she put NA? She put NA on there. So when I said, oh no, wait a minute. I had to call her because I knew some of the things. When she was in junior high school, they literally pulled her class because the local Channel 12 News was there and they wanted to do an interview, and the school chose her. She had no time to prep. Now here she is with these news cameras in front of her face, and she's doing an interview. And she was speaking about their school. They had lost, I forgot what it was called, but the state was in control of their academics. The school wasn't doing that great. They were just released from like a probation, it sounds like. And she was the one that spoke on behalf of that. She maintained the Honor Society all throughout high school. So I'm going to bring on Amaya, and Amaya is here. Hi, Amaya. Thank you so much. So how are things going with you there in Kennesaw State? And what is your major?
I'm English education.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. So what is your goal after graduating?
My goal would definitely be to start subbing, getting to know schools in my area, and being able to decipher which school I would want to teach at permanently, to see which school it would be the best fit for me.
What type of environment do you want to be in?
I definitely want to be in an environment that encourages diversity, where I can encourage students to do the best, where our differences are celebrated. I have to feel around and get the vibe of each school before committing.
What state?
Right now, I do want to stay in Georgia. The more that I do my research, probably somewhere in DeKalb, in the city. But if I have to move to New York or anywhere else, like Europe for a year, and that's where God wants to put me so I could teach, of course. So right now, Georgia, but everything changes.
Do you often feel overwhelmed, like you may want to take a break from school, that it's just sometimes just too much?
Yes, definitely. I feel within like the last year, I have really been questioning, do I want to take a gap year? Do I want to take a semester off? What that would look like for me, what I would be doing in the meantime.
When you say take a semester off, does that mean no school at all?
I am looking into is being a part-time student. So taking 3, 2, or 1 classes instead of 4 or 5, which I usually do. And then I have more time to work. Any job that I get, I would definitely be working in the education profession. My gap year wouldn't be just to relax and to take my mind off of school. It would be more to focus on my career, get more knowledge and experience it, go into the real world.
And I think that is some really great advice. If you are going to take a break, then get a job in the field that you're going to school for. Okay, so you're a junior now. What would you tell your younger self?
You have to be able to know how to rest if you want to keep achieving. I rarely allowed myself to relax, and it wasn't until I got into college, until the pandemic, where I actually had to relax. I wasn't rushing from this class to this class. I wasn't rushing from this school meeting to this after school program. I actually had to force myself to relax and to actually just sit with myself and not be busybody, especially in high school. You are kind of pressured into doing every club, going to every meeting, doing all the extracurriculars in order to get to a good college. And while that is great, if you're doing that and you're not resting, then you're going to be burnt out by the time you get to college. College, it's a whole different atmosphere. You have to allow yourself to relax if you want to continue to strive.
So when you say relax, you're basically saying relax from being so hard on yourself and going so hard with studying.
Don't force yourself constantly. Don't rush. You don't always have to rush everything. Everything doesn't always have to be perfect. Some things just aren't going to be perfect. You have to let go of that need to control everything. Sometimes things aren't going to go your way, and that's how you learn resilience.
Yes.
I love hearing her say that, Jackie, because you're talking about self-care. And that's something that we need to continue to help ourselves. So if we empty our own cup, how can we help anyone else? Something I really admire about you is that Jackie came on with your intro saying that you had a full ride. Man, there's nothing like not having to worry about school finances. I hate to say it, but I am still paying off student loans. There's so many grants and different ways to get money out there.
So Amaya, with this whole college experience, is there anything with you that you want to share, funny or embarrassing, you had to learn the hard way?
Definitely my first semester on campus. I would strongly advise learning your campus before you go to class. There were times where I would sit in a room absolutely clueless. I'm an English major. There's no reason why I should be sitting in the science building. I'm just sitting there just like, okay, let's start. Why are they talking about cells? And then you have to get up. It's a big lecture of 90 kids. Calls attendance, and then you're not being called. You raise your hand and you're just like, oh, I wasn't called. You're not in this class. Email is going to be the most effective communication between you and your professors.
What about the dorm life? Any helpful tips?
Honestly, just trial and error. Like if you're living with roommates, good communication goes a long way. You have to practice boundaries even in situations where, for young girls, it's going to be guys approaching you. You have to set boundaries with these guys because it is a crazy, really dangerous situation. You have to be aware of your surroundings. Being on campus, being off campus too.
Amaya's perspective as a college student and her advice to parents.
You have to trust your kid. You have to let go a little bit, and really hope that the values that you instilled in them well. I think right now is where we start figuring out who we are as adults. We're emerging into our adulthood, and if you have a parent that's constantly wanting to baby you or fearing about what's happening at school, it's going to clash. And a lot of the times, if there's a normal amount of communication, your kids will come to you, because now we're starting to see our parents almost eye to eye. We're emerging into our adulthood, and so we're getting a lot of perspective on things that we didn't when we were kids. Yes.
Amaya, it has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing. So next we have Miss Shiva. She is the founder of Generational Academy. She believes in education passed down from generation to generation. She prepares college students as well as parents for that venture. She introduces different programs they may not have been privy to. She goes to different schools throughout Georgia and provides this service inside of schools. She has increased parental involvement by 40%. schools where parents are not heavily involved and the children as well, you're definitely going to want to link up with Generational Academy. And I have her coming on now.
Hi, Maya. Hi, Dr. Sherry Smith and Jackie. Thank you.
Hello.
Maya, so proud of you.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Sherry Smith, wonderful story.
Yeah.
Jackie, thank you for this platform.
Thank you. Thank you
I'm
so
so
much.
excited. I'm old school. I'm still a baby boomer. I'm learning. I am learning. You learn something else comes up. And it's like, wow, I just got to keep up.
But isn't it fun learning?
It is. Learning is fun. It's fun. Yes.
So Shiva is the founder of Generational Academy. What Generational Academy is?
We help increase parental involvement. Mainly our school districts are impoverished school district, urban schools where student achievement is low, right? And so our goal is to help prepare students as well as parents for college and career readiness. Everyone is not going to go to college, but the bottom line, we all want our students to achieve. And for parents, the most important thing is self-sufficiency, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone's not going to, get a scholarship to play basketball or football, but there are careers and opportunities for our students. We collaborate with certified teachers and the community, and we bring together a team to help our parents prepare for college and career readiness. But we also prepare our parents for college and career readiness. Mainly our market we partner with are parents who've dropped out of school for a lot of reasons. And so many of these parents, their position is, but it's your job as a teacher or school system to prepare my student or my child for college and career readiness. And so some of our parents, that's their mindset. You do your job, you teach my child, and when they come home, that's the end of learning, or that's the end of it. So students spend about 7,800 hours at home versus 900 hours in the classroom. And so our job in Generational Academy is to bridge that gap, to create holistic relationships and to promote the partnerships.
You have parents listening and you have children that are listening. They don't know which way to go, kids that are about to embark in college or whether they're in elementary. What would you tell them to do?
The most important thing is to align a career with your students. As parents or caretakers, the key is to pay attention. Everyone is not going to be, a doctor or a lawyer. And so in the schoolhouse, the counselors are so critical. Get your child tested or go through the career assessment to see what career aligns with that child, right? Mm-hmm. And then based on those social questions, there's going to be a list of careers that's going to be listed. You can help your student job shadow. The child is more invested in that career now because this is something that inspires the child. We, as that parent or caretaker, pay very close attention. Our children will tell us exactly some of the things that will interest them. Exactly. Our job is to help solidify and to nurture that passion. We bridge the gap. We bring in involvement. We bring in the community, whether it's a parent, whether it's businesses. There's a school that may only have 1% of parents participating. We come up with a marketing concept that's innovative, that help parents to come in.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yes.
What about single parent homes, right? And sometimes that single parent may work more than one job. They don't have the time to go to PTA classes, to really sit and speak to the teachers.
Yeah, so, as neighbors, we piggyback, you get together in your tribe. We've recruited parents to get in parent groups, parent clubs. So if one parent can't, the other one can't, or a grandparent, or aunt or uncle. What I like to say is just think about at age 26, 27, they're on your couch and they can't get a job. They can't thrive in life because they're not sufficient. So when you think, begin with the end in mind, and the end in mind.
To get out your house.
It's self-sufficiency, and it's different for everyone.
What would you tell students or children?
Do not compare yourself. Everyone is individual. Everyone has different gifts and uniqueness. So that's what I would say.
Sometimes the kids feel too that their gift is so small that it's not worth even exploring.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely.
Well, Miss Shiva, it's been wonderful speaking to you and learning about Generational Academy. Thank you for all that your company does in pouring back into our children. Generational Academy across all of the platforms, they are here to help you. Make sure you reach out, college readiness, because it can be scary if you don't know. For more information, contact Generational Academy. Last but not least, she is a professor. Professor Vivian, and I'm going to bring her on now.
Good evening. Good evening. Hey. What an honor to be this platform with such amazing people.
Yes.
Oh, such an honor to listen to your wisdom at such a young age.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Getting to know Professor Vivian. Introduce yourself and just give a background about what got you started wanting to be a professor and what that walk looked like for you.
Yeah, so starting with the end in mind, Shiva, I share the space of being a baby boomer. So, and Dr. Sherry, I share so many spaces. Occupying the room as a professor, it didn't start that way. I grew up extremely poor, and for me, I was raised by two people who had no formal education, but drilled in us that education is power, and we had no other choice. I was a first generational everything. I went to school by way of military and wanted to not be poor anymore. So I thought I was going to be a lawyer. And, you know, Amaya, you're absolutely right. God has a plan for us. He also has a sense of humor. I wanted to be a lawyer, but I became a counselor. I am a foundational social worker and therapist. I have over 20 years of private practice and social work. I began teaching in Michigan as an adjunct professor in Michigan. Once moved here, started doing the same thing, started doing social work practice and private practice. I now teach in the social work department with graduate students, and it's been a privilege. It's a passion. I get the opportunity. Rarely though, Amaya, I will be honest, that I meet an undergraduate student with your kind of wisdom and focus. I won't say missed, because I believe everything that does not happen was not meant to happen in that space. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And again, I'm so happy to know that I not only share this space, but share some of the same walk. I am in school. I teach full time. Yeah. So it is, education is absolutely paramount.
You said military. What form of military were you in?
So Jackie, I was not a soldier. I did 7 years in the Army, so it did pay for schooling. I was in the Army. I was in Army Reserves, and I did 7 years.
That's many people's goals. So that's great.
I honor my country. I love my country, and I'm grateful. I heard Dr. Sherry talk about student loans, and I say, you know, education is paramount, but there's opportunities to do things that you really may not connect to forever, but it's a means to an end. I encourage people to know that you're not married to a thing just because you're doing it for.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. Change is, it's okay to change and change your mind and change how you do it.
Yeah. We've learned in this season, pivoting is a really strong suit for us. So to learn to pivot, I thought I would never want to hear some of those military terms. Pivot is a military term, left, right, left, and all of that. It's a strength. And I think young people really should hold on and recognize there's nothing wrong with making a pivot to change the direction. It's okay.
It is okay. I love that. Professor, what misconceptions are there about professors? What some of the misconceptions that we hear?
My students, every year, they come in my classroom and you can tell they're just tight. I teach graduate students. They'll tell you, I thought you were going to be so mean. I read your bio. I thought you were going to be so hard. And I always have these icebreakers and to just break their walls down, to recognize that learning is not about being rigid. It is not about following the syllabus. I always tell them it is a guideline. It is not the Bible. So that is one of the misconceptions. I think to come in with an open mind and recognize your professor wants to support you.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's really true, Jackie. I really want to say that, especially for those marginalized people, for those first gen people, for those students who, like me, that came in as dealing with that imposter syndrome. Like, I don't know that I can do this and I can't share my story. I want to encourage them to know that share your story is powerful. No one's like you.
But what advice would you want to give to a college student fresh coming into school?
I think, I think it will be in line with Shiva. Don't compare yourself, but to own your story, to own your space. So many times we come in with the thought, if I can be this, but to come and recognize that you are there to share who you are as well. Don't take yourself so seriously. We miss so much learning because we're busy taking notes of what we think are the facts that's going to propel us to the front, when we're missing the wise keys to what's really going to expand your territory.
Wow.
Really think we need to put the pencils down. And I always ask my students, what does that mean to you? And by the time they get through writing, they don't know because they didn't hear it. And they don't have enough time to process, what does that really mean to me?
Right.
What does that look like for me? Socrates had a way of teaching, right? And he would respond to students a question with this question. Never gave a direct answer because our answers lie within us.
Yes.
We're so geared to someone else giving us answers that we don't realize what lies in us. And if you critically think, you typically have the answer within you.
Professor Vivian's opinion on students taking a gap year off from college.
Everything is a case by case, management way. But what I would encourage students to do is, much like Amaya said, maybe not a gap year. I would encourage students to seek out any funding, any hardships, any assistance that they could to allow them to at least manage on a part-time level. I think taking a full year may be distracting. And so to be in at least for a couple of classes by way of funding, I think that would be the best option. Again, I want to just also make sure that I'm heard when I say everyone has a different walk in life. And so if it dictates that you need to take care of yourself and not go for that year, as Amaya said, you're not, forced to finish school in 4 years. You can do it later. But I would suggest, if at all possible, stay engaged in some form or fashion.
Seriously, what is a fun fact about you that you may want to tell others?
April Foods is my favorite day of the year.
Same question that I'm going to also ask for Professor Vivian.
I was sitting here, I was like, I don't want to answer that question. I think I'm probably one of the most boring people, but a fun fact, I think laughter is absolutely medicine for the soul. You'll find me at any comedy club or listening to comedy. That's my favorite thing.
I will say that one of my fun things that I love to do, and it's one of my de-stressors, I have a membership to Six Flags. I love riding roller coasters. There's nothing like screaming and getting it out of your system and having that jolt of being afraid. And then, you just walk out the park all free because you left all that stress behind. Right?
And Dr. Smith, I would be remiss if I did not let you know that I am your soror. So
they throwing them up. Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, Well, you recently you've been going to museums and you like to go on walks, like nature walks and things like that, right? Yeah. Are you a foodie? You're a foodie?
Yes.
You
Yes,
like
I love
restaurants?
trying new foods, going to new restaurants, discovering new things. Yes.
Thank you so much, Shiva, for Generational Academy, and continue to pour into our students and faculty as well as the parents.
And thank you for
You're
and
most
thank you,
welcome.
Vivian. Thank you for
Thank
I
you.
want to thank you all for
Yes.
especially you, Jackie, for having the insight and being so unselfish to share this platform, to want to expand the knowledge and breadth of what African American women or people of color have to offer. Thank you. That's a very
Well, thank
unselfish
you. You guys are amazing.
Amaya, our future is bright. I am
Thank you.
so grateful to have shared this space with you. Shiva, thank you for asking me and keeping my number. I am grateful. This has been a blessing. I wish you the absolute moon as it relates to this expanding, Jackie.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad that God allowed you women to be here on my very first webcast. And